Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Smith, Paraskeria, it's Friday, and today we're looking at the two verbs that describe drinking in Georgian, sma and daleva. From this perspective, the third person perspective, we look at if he, she or it drinks. This obviously requires sometimes the name of an animal or the name of a person to make the sentence sound a bit more complete. So, if you're ready, let's go. One addresses the elephant in the room, which is when we talk in the third person in Georgian. He drinks, she drinks, it drinks. sma³. The similarity with the s at the end of the English verb and the s at the end of the Georgian verb cannot be ignored. It's quite fair because as we start to conjugate Georgian drinking, we have to really consider a lot of different changes from past to present to future, and the verbs themselves change. So we're looking at how they match and then look at perhaps ways to remember the things that we need to know in Georgian. Namely, that English is grammatically easier because there's less transformation in the subject markers than Georgian, which is clearly with more. So let's look at this example that I decided to invent. I drink, you drink, he drinks. That sounds about 99% English, except for the fact I said I drink. Now, if I were to put a V in front, that would be my subject marker for me. Nothing at all is for you, and an S is for him. He runs, I run, you run. Based upon that, we can actually imagine English and Georgian to be so similar, because me svám, shen svám, is svams. The similarity there is almost 100%, isn't it? So speaking in the present, it's not where things go a little bit crazy. What happens is in the past, many of the problems people have in English is that our past conjugations are so irregular, they're really hard to remember. In this case with drink, it's not that difficult. We change one vowel from the I to the A. I drank, you drank, he drank. Just one thing. Although we could say drinked, it's completely a mistake, but the actual conjugation for most regular past tenses in English is ed. So drinked is a common mistake. I work teaching English. It is a common mistake adding the ed. And we're like, no. You have to make a different transformation. So English forces people to make secondary transformations. Georgian does the same. Secondary and tertiary. We have a different verb. We're going to use davlie for me, I drank, dalie for you, you drank, dalia for him, he drank. We change the e to an a for him. We add an s for him in the present, he drinks. We add an a for him in the past because he drank. Svams. What's important here is it would be incorrect to say dalia, whereas in the present tense there's a massive abundance of s's everywhere. In the past tense there's an abundance of a everywhere. He becomes man, she becomes man, it becomes man. Obviously this is the Georgian translation. Man is a variant of is. Okay, so just remember that there's an abundance of a. Man dalia. He or she or it drank. So let's just take a look at it. How can we remember the point or the purpose of this man? The way I look at it, namely with drinking, for example, it's in the ergative case, which does show a difference in the relationship between the verb in the nominative case. And so as an ergative pronoun, it needs to become man if it's not a name. If I want to talk about my mother, then I'm going to add an M. Dedam. And she becomes a drinkee, sort of the person that enacted the drink. But where did the drink go? She drank it, right? She drank the drink. And so you can see here, but as the recipient and the person that did the protagonist of the action, then she cannot be disconnected from the full responsibility of the drinking anyway. And so that's related in Georgian to the transformation of her name. Dedam, Dalia. Katsi, just a regular guy. Katsma, Dahlia. There's a large repeat of A. Here it's S, here it's A in the past tense. I know it seems like the simplest of tips, but on other verbs which transform in this way, it might actually be a saving grace because it's not the first time that this happens. Let's look at our standard verb table. So, what we already know from video 31 and video 32. Isvams, Isvams, he, she, it drinks. Isvamda, there's an A because it's he, she, or it. Isvamda, Isvamda. Here we've got mandalia, 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 not me davliye. That's adding a V and adding an E, but we're using an A, an abundance of A's. And then we've got the second variant, of course, using sma, because there are two verbs for this one. Then we have shesva, shesva, another A. Speaking in the future, dalevs, dalevs. Here we've gone back to the original pattern of adding an S. And what's really reassuring is that we've also gone back to using the is. So it's S, 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 bringing it back to that old relationship. So either there's an A or there's an S on either of the verbs. As long as it's conjugated with that in mind, you should have a little bit of a head start as to she is going to drink, ista lives. The other variant, of course, using sma, is she svams, is she svams. He or she is going to drink, take, taste, partake, perhaps a verb of much lower frequency used in Georgian. Dalevs is going to be more omnipresent. But again, look at the word shesvams. Is shesvams. In contrast to mandalia, katmadalia, dedamdalia. It's obvious that there is an A emphasis in that past tense variant and an S emphasis in that future tense variant. It's acoustically unavoidable. Got it? Good. Slide 2, and let's put into practice what we know about this ergative tense using the A, and obviously when it's not ergative tense, perhaps in the dative, then we're going to need the S. And in this case, we're going to really talk about things that have been drunk. So we need the S again. Let's look at our friend Nino. She doesn't drink because she's taking medication, right? It's kind of what we know. I'm just checking. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nino ar svams, radgan, tsamlebs, yichevs, chom. That's my question here. Now, what if I were to, of course, remember that tsamlebi are the medications on the end because this is dative. What if I were to talk about a person that I just don't know their name? Is, he or she. I'm not going to say it. He or she doesn't drink because he or she is taking medication. That's done in Georgian with is, artsvams, radgan tsamlebs, irebs, chom. Is arsvams radgan tsamlebs, irebs, chom. There are 4 S's in that sentence. We're clearly not using the ergative here. The dative is present in the object that's being drunk, and we're talking about the person in the present tense, drinking or not drinking. Here's another example. This one just illustrates a situation that is unfolding. Ratom aravin arsvams gvinos. That's a question. Why isn't anyone drinking the wine? The same as in English, anyone takes the third person, and so the verb svams. Svams. Arsvams in this case, almost like a double negative, chvinos. Chvinos. Because it's dative. The S is omnipresent. Sudia. It's a question. Is it bad? Arvarga. Arvarga is perhaps an easier question. It's not very concrete. Is it necessarily bad? It's just what's wrong with it? Is it unsuitable? it's more a question of its suitability. I need to know. The other questions that could come, which are a little bit more precisely about wine, could be dzvelia, dzveli old, gapuchebulia. It's spoiled somehow. You can taste it. Gapuchebulia, a word that can be used, gapuchebuli, is for many things actually. A brat is a child. That is gapuchebuli. Mjavea. Mjavea. Is it sour? Does it have a sour taste? Adzmarebulia. Adzmarebulia. Think of dzmari, vinegar. Has it vinegared? These, of course, look necessarily at the problem of the wine, but it doesn't distract from the main question. And of course, the subject is who? Why isn't anyone? We're asking why. And of course, maybe we find an answer. Now, I have a question. This is in the ergative because my wine has gone. It's definitely in the past. Vin dalia chemi chvino. Vin dalia chemi chvino. Ar davlie. Me ar davlie. Chemi chvino. I didn't drink my wine. Vin dalia chemi chvino. This is all using the ergative case with the person, the subject, and of course, what's being drunk. No S's involved at all. Now we're using sma. Of course, the action may or not finished. The drink is still there. Maybe something's missing. Vinsvam da chems chvinos. Vinsvam da chems chvinos. Now, if you remember from the grammar table, there's no need to remove the S's in this particular example. We're not concretely talking about a fixed action in the past that came and went. Someone's been drinking my wine and I want to know who. Another example which really looks back into the ergative. Kuchis katam rdze ardalia. The street cat didn't drink the milk. I put milk out. It wasn't drunk. There's still milk there. Whatever happened, the cat didn't drink it. This is using the ergative case. There is no S's here. And look at kata, katam, rdze, ardalia. Katam, rdze, ardalia. Here we can see that the street cat didn't drink the milk provided. It's still there. From Dalia is confirming that it. I may not even know if it's a male or a female cat. It. Katam. Didn't drink. Ardalia. The milk. Rze. Slide 3, and we have a lot to say about Nino, I think. But Nino chvinos svams. Nino chvinos svams. Does Nino drink? Maybe I didn't know. She does, she doesn't. But does she drink wine? My question about her to you. Nino chvinos ar svams chom. Nino doesn't drink, does she? How I approach the question, of course, depends on my opinion about her. But, of course, the wine is in dativ, chvinos. Nino svams. Ara Nino chvinos ar svams. There's S in the answer too. No, she doesn't drink wine. That's what I know about her. That's her habit. Here's some more examples now using the past. Here the past is of course a continuous action or habitual action that has ceased to take place. Dedache mitzuchel ar svamda. Late last night my mother wasn't drinking. Dedachemi, not me, not you, my mother, third person. Zuchel ar svamda. Dedachemi. Ar svamda. Mama misi. Her father or his father. Mama misi chavas arastros svamda. Mama misi chavas arastros svamda. Her father, let's say Nino's father, never used to drink coffee. Maybe I'm commenting that now he does. Achla mama misi chavas swams. Things might have changed. Now, this story takes a massive jump into the unreal world because Dracula is a person that we all know by name. So when we see the transformation in Georgian grammar, it becomes very clear. It's here in the ergative case, Dracula mtelisis. It almost sounds quite sinister. Dracula mtelisis. There are no S's anywhere here. It is not required. This is going to be in an ergative case, in a past tense, giving that ergative tense feel, so that we know Dracula mtelisis. Dracula drank all the blood. And if you think about it, that's what he does, doesn't he? He kind of flies, sucks the blood, sucks them dry, and disappears. He's in, he's out, it's over. You don't really see in the movies that he's drinking the blood and then 3 weeks later he's still drinking the blood. He kind of likes fresh blood. So it's over and it's done. It's one drink and he's gone. It is expressed here in that sentence. Nino kortsilshi. Kortsili is the wedding. Nino kortsilshi ar dalevs. Ar dalevs. Nino will not drink at the wedding. Now, perhaps I want to be specific about what she's drinking. Then, of course, we're back into the future now. We're going to be talking about what she's going to do, a decision that she's made. Nino kortsilshi chvinos ar dalevs. S on the chvino, S on dalevs. Nino kortsilshi chvinos ar dalevs. Nino will not drink wine at the wedding. That is the last slide of today. Thanks a lot. It's not the last presentation on this topic. That's coming next week. We will look at plural forms, also the formal you form. So have a nice weekend and I'll see you then. Bye.